I ask a question? I don't know how to.
Carlos, do you want to
No, go ahead, Jacob.
All right, Jacob, go ahead.
I defer to
Jump
Jacob.
in.
I have a quite serious question, and it's related, James, to your book, what you wrote 15 with Neil Radon 15 years ago, right? Approximately. It was smart enough systems, right?
Right.
And that time, because you add this word enough, you actually set the bar for all of us a little bit lower, right? And what happened in the last 15 years, majority of, I think we succeeded to satisfy the majority of requirements that were in your system, in your book. And we built a lot of very useful, productive systems, and they are smart enough. And we have products today that they perfected what our main objectives to make, basically to make programming more easy for business people. And even if you don't tell that this is a programming, but what we have today, I believe we achieve certain plateau where we're not improving anymore because we're still doing, even if we don't accept this, instead of declarative, we do procedural, implementing procedural approach. We're forcing our customers to describe everything in rules, how to come up with decision. And I think it's time for us to raise this bar, initial bar, when we had initial objective. Our business customer defines the problem, and our smart, not enough smart, but very smart decision engine solves the problems. And we certainly not there, but I think it requires a different approach than what we currently have, in spite of all our successes. So that's maybe you need to write another book.
My
question is that do you think it's smart enough is enough today, what was enough 15 years ago? And I'm not talking about machine learning.
So, I mean, so I would say that Neil and I picked smart enough with sort of malice, right? We were deliberately trying to say, you don't have to wait for AI to be smart, right? You can build smart enough systems that are useful now with technology that existed then and exists now, right? And that was business rules, optimization, predictive analytics, and data mining. And I think I would say that the vast majority of customers I speak to, that is still, in fact, what they need. Their use of AI outside of what I call interface AI for transcription, image recognition, video recognition is still overwhelmingly an abject failure. The vast majority of machine learning models built with intent to deploy still don't deploy. And it's because they won't invest the time and energy in thinking about what they actually need to do. And so we still need the people whose job it is to pay claims and underwrite loans to participate in this process. So for now, I think we have a long way to go before we're at the point where we can't do any more with the tools we have to hand. I think we have a great tool set that works and that is massively underused by the, as we lovingly call our customers, the big boring companies that are our customers. So that would be my 2 cents. I think
you're right, but I want to ask other experts.
Ask the others.
What right now we we all have to drive cars, right? And we like to drive cars, but probably in 20 years we would not. I don't know exactly, but so I'm not talking about Holy Grail, you write definition and computer solves the problems. It's probably much further than 20 years, but still our objective should be different. We should minimize, it should not be 500,000 rules. It should be, and be forcing user to write them. User should define general environment and general constraints on our systems, and we should offer user different solutions, or probably, and maybe like Alan described in conversation with the user, they can choose the best one, something like this. Or Jan today described how user creates one simple model, but we can interpret this model in 10 different ways based on availability of data. And similar problems, they are problems what we need to solve today. And if my question actually is, should not we raise the initial bar? That's what the question.
All right, so
Yeah,
let's wrap up the
let me
panel
give you-
with answers then. Let's go through everybody. Everyone gets a chance to answer. So
let me
Carlos,
give
go
you
first.
let me give you a quick thing on this one. I think the key problem here is not as much the number of rules that you're dealing with, because again, when we said 500 to 1,000 rules in this example, it's actually 1.5 million. It's a huge number of rules, and you're not. It's not. There's no miracle in reducing that set. That's the individual pieces of logic that are involved in a complicated decision that involves all the major cities of the U.S. and the counties and the states and the world. I mean, you can't federal. You can't really reduce that level of complexity. The major reduction in level of complexity is machine learning. It's the fact that, in fact, what is a machine learning model is nothing else than a very compressed set of rules. So the path to compressing these things is the path where things are not explainable, which is not the best approach. And we do have customers who will actually on purpose say, you know what, I prefer, give me an environment where it's actually efficient to manage this level of complexity in the rules, but I want them to be absolutely explicit. I want to be able to see what they are. I don't want to use a machine learning algorithm because I cannot explain necessarily what it is. It cannot go through legal compliance, etc. I think where the emphasis, where the effort, for our type of technology is to go, is again, sorry to repeat myself, but it has to do with not really that much the expressive power, whether it's declarative, imperative, whether it's graphical, non-graphical. All the tools do that. All the tools will make efforts there. We all try to incorporate things that are higher in terms of expressive power, etc. But the issue is in the end-to-end. It's ensuring that we do have an environment where we can do life cycle, or where we can do complete trace from beginning to end, where everything is understood, and where you have control on the business analyst. On there, I think the smart enough systems, I think they are smart enough. They could be better, of course, but they are smart enough. But then we're not necessarily yet at the point where we, let's say, completed the picture in that other dimension.
All right, Alan, why don't you answer Jacob's challenge? I've got to work through everybody.
Okay.
It's your last words of the panel.
Okay, I think the big thing which is going to make a huge difference to how smart our systems are is actually not so much the technical side. That's coming along nicely. We've got nice integration between rules and ML and all those things. I think it's to do with business enablement, and that business users should find it easy to create smart systems. I think this is going to be dependent on democratization of decision modeling, especially in terms of reuse and sharing of various parts of decision models. I think this may be more what Ron had in mind when he talked about knowledge macros, fragments of business knowledge that can be put together quickly and used easily through some sort of shared platform which allows an open market in business knowledge.
All right, Bob, what's your last comment for Jacob's question?
Well, I think that, I mean, what you were saying, James, I think is that there's still so much low-hanging fruit with regard to very straightforward decision systems based around fairly simple business rules, decision tables, a little bit of procedural logic, as supported by a lot of the decision management tools that are around. And I think that we're still seeing a lot of people are still kind of being blinded by the hype of machine learning, calling it AI. It seems to me it's very much like the expert systems bubble, of the early 90s. And I think that until we actually get people on board with the idea that they need to be able to manage their decisions in a kind of more organized sort of way, we don't need to, we need to kind of get over that hurdle before we're going to get to the point where people will start coming up with really challenging problems where we need to actually start changing our paradigms in terms of how we build these systems. What we have at the moment is good enough. The problem is that it's not been adopted enough by the people who really need to use it. And until that problem is solved, trying to build extra new technology. I mean, it's interesting to do, but it's not something, if we're not selling what we've got at the moment, these sophisticated things are not, and that, I mean, we'd be trying to solve problems that people haven't even realized they've got.
All right, where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. That is, and what you said earlier is that those systems are underutilized. So are they smart enough for today? Probably yes, but they are not used as much as they should or would need to be used. So we need to work on, as a community, we need to work on the next step. So by the time that the next demand comes in, we are ready for consumability, basically business consumability, to make sure that the decision can be more ubiquitous, can be everywhere in smaller snippet. It's not about collecting 1 million rules to solve a complex problem. That exists, of course, that's going to continue to exist, but it's also about the smaller decisions that are interspread everywhere in a bunch of various processes or systems to increase the confidence of the business analyst that yes, they can step into those places and also define those smaller decisions by themselves with a tool that is easy to consume, less intimidating, so it can be spread to more usage than what it is used for today. So that links exactly to what Bob was saying. I mean, today's tools are smart enough probably, but we need to work on the next generation. We need to work on making them accessible to a wider range of users that are not scared about using those tools.
All right, so, Gary, foolishly, I am giving you the last word.
The last word. I'm going to actually answer a slightly different question, I'm afraid. And the answer is no. So let me give you the question, and the question is,
this is why questions are so important in decision makers, right? Because just knowing the answer really doesn't get you there.
Will programming in first order logic or decision rules or constraint programming or data science be a good solution for the low no code user? And you already heard my answer. I think it's no. So I think, we would like to have smarter systems, but we're also going to have smarter developers. And, that's the balance right now, right? Is people want, more commodity developers. And, I think there's a limit as to how smart your systems can be. And I agree with James, the best, successes that I've seen and people see are, the smart document, scanners and the chatbots, right? Those are the two biggies.
All right. Well, I think we are 10 minutes over. I think that's quite enough for everybody. So I'd like to thank Gary, Yem, Bob, Carlos, Alan for your time. Hopefully everybody found those questions helpful. It's always fun to have this crowd on there. Jacob, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Great panel. Thank you.
Again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you next
All right,
time.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.